What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
All right, what's going on, chat? Match 2 of the night, University of North Alabama versus Center College. I'm here now with Infernosis. This time, Infernosis, what's going on?
Nothing much. Pretty excited here. Got to cast for one of these teams last week, so I'm looking forward to this one. We get to see how Center College really holds up in this one. But you got to cast the last game. How'd that one go for you?
It was pretty interesting. We got quite the map pool this week. We've got Ilios, Eichenwald, and Watchpoint Gibraltar, so a lot of things change up as the game goes on. Kicking things off on Ilios, though, I got a chance to cast this UNA team a couple of weeks ago, and I just already know that Ironcrad is going to be the player that I'm looking out for in this one. I mean, that is just the DPS stud that this UNA team rolls off of.
I mean, absolutely. Last week, we saw him go off on the Genji previously mentioned, comboing with an Ana Nano boost, just slaughtering everything that he came across. Not a single chance. They still did lose to one of the better teams here in this division, the UAH squad. And I think that if they have the chance to face off against, since that is the largest college esport face-off in Alabama, this entire state, it's going to be another big one. And I think UNA is going to try and come back with a vengeance, but they're going to need more than Ironcrad to show up if they want to face off against the UAH squad. But we'll have to see how they hold out here. And I'm looking forward to Ilios. I think that with the Reddit Lucio that Tiger likes to prefer, could be some pretty good gameplay coming from UNA.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And this is a big game on their schedule, too. For the Emergence Division, this is the 5 seed versus the 6 seed, a 3-2 team versus a 2-3 team. So there's a lot on the line today. If Center College wins this one, both teams become 500. If UNA wins, they get a very good seed going into the last couple of weeks of this season. So a very high value game at stake for this UNA team. And for Center, they've got a chance to get back into the playoff picture.
I'm looking forward to it. I know that the Cinder College side is, when I've taken a look at their notes and what they stated come into this one, they love to use two snipers, but they do say that they can brawl. So immediately my heart palpitates and just falls and swoons at every single moment when I hear the word sniper. I salivate, and it's hard to actually speak. Because you know me, I'm a Widow main. That's all. I Widow one trick. That's all I do.
We're going to get ruins first on Ilios, and you're just going to be the happiest. No, okay, we got well. All right, probably your least favorite Widowmaker point for this.
No,
match,
there's some fun Widow spots on the tower, on the actual lighthouse or windmill, whatever you want to call it. You can pop up in that. I mean, you're dead for like 30 seconds, but I mean, you can get a pick or two, but maybe not the most sound competitive style mapping that you can go for that double sniper play. But I think we will see some Hanzos come out, because Hanzo's been a pretty devastating person to face off against things like Ryan Shields and Arisa Shields, just clearing those out. So I think we could see some pretty good coordination in regards to actually clearing those out with the snipers. We do actually have a Widow coming from James, so I am swooning indeed.
An interesting look. James putting a smile on the face of Inferno. It's just, that's a good way to start things off, but what a wonky comp we're looking at. I mean, we've got a Reinhardt and a Wrecking Ball on one side, a Roadhog and a Sigma on the other. I mean, these are some, I don't want to say broken team comps, but certainly some that don't quite synergize what I would say perfectly.
It's pretty interesting. I do like the idea of a Reaper facing off against the squad of UNA right now, because it will have some pretty heavy emphasis in terms of getting in up and close and personal to Shlomo, Shield, and Reinhardt. Get behind that and try to go into that. You have the Mercy and the Mora, which will give you some really good variety in your heal game, but the Widowmaker's kind of left out in the dust. No one really there that can save too well, and it's going to be a little difficult to go with that, but Ironcrad already binding two as Shlomo gets hooked into the well, and James will find Ironcrad on the refrag.
I like it. Ironcrad already showing that he sharpened up the blades before this one, getting that double kill with the dash. Instantly going in, but the kills traded out already. Now they're Roadhog. Miho spamming down the front line, and it looks like North Alabama, they're on the back foot until Squib gets that kill onto James, and they roll right back in. Both of the tanks back and just looking to claim down this well. James does get res back in by Tossboy, looking to swing things back. Maybe he can pop off, goes for a hook shot, comes up empty, and Shlomo collects the pin kill.
Very nice charge coordinated with Ironcrad on that dive in, and Ironcrad being that foremost front runner for the UNA side, doing a very phenomenal job. You'd think it would be Squib, who just found two, would be that kind of front runner, but it wasn't exactly what we saw. Squib's really on the aggressive stance. It's really just Ironcrad forcing them back and Squid going for these frags. It's pretty interesting to see how UNA's trying to digest this attack, and we're currently seeing Centers not doing a good job of countering it. Hook coming into Ironcrad, and that's going to be a very nice one at the very beginning. Big damage down.
Big damage down indeed, but Squib rolls in with that Wrecking Ball Mines and just sets him out right where everyone on Center wants to stand. They no longer can. They're forced into this lighthouse. Awkward position. The Shatter finds at least two. Shlomo pinning again, this time through J Double and the Wrecking Ball Mines. They haven't gone anywhere, and they find the 2K as well.
Man, not to be outdone though, Tiger finding a kill on Lucio, just trying to find something for himself, because he don't want to be on the kill feed as well. It will be finished off in its entirety by, of course, Ironcrad. Who else in that situation? Did die at the beginning, but that minefield that came from Squid was a great way to set up the engaging fight. I need to see more from Center College. They have switched off, half for a little bit off of that Widowmaker. They don't want to play that. They have that McCree now, hoping to maybe counter out Thimble as well, but haven't seen enough from J Double. Desperately need to see them kind of act more on their DPS side.
Galvanijo just tries to take a little too much space, steps right into Tiger, who is just living large right now on Lucio and Ilios. Well, loving it. This is the Reddit Lucio from University of North Alabama. This is a home game for any Lucio player on Ilios. This is exactly what you like to see. And honestly, I think since Overwatch came out back in 2016, Tiger has not been off of a wall. He is just always up riding those walls, just making you look up and around. Never in a spot you would expect, and he's just constantly looking for the boops, but the Dragon Blade comes in.
It's going to be nano boosted as well. They're going to use Galvano's ultimate to try and keep him at bay, but it's not going to matter. Ironcrad going off, finding two in the back line, diving and finding Butternubs, and continuing the spree. Thimble with the High Noon finding one. A Gravitic Flux will find only Squib, but an attempted Reaper ultimate from J Double will not count, and it's going to go on the board. UNA will secure this one. Will we see a Widowmaker again? That's the number one question on my mind.
Oh, man. It
did not
didn't
work.
work wonders there that time, but Ilios will much more closed off than we're going to see on Ruins if we get that map second. But if we go to Lighthouse, and we don't, we go to Ruins. So there is a chance in Infernosis that we see your favorite hero, but I think James was feeling a little too cautious on that sniper. Squib was just all over him on Wrecking Ball. Maybe he tries it again, though.
Yeah, we do see that James has opted to go back to the Widow, and Squib has switched off of the Wrecking Ball as well over to the Diva pick, and we're looking like a fairly normal standardized composition. We do see Divas now on both sides. Ironcrad switching off the Genji, now going to a sniper as well, seeming to favor the Ashe instead of, say, a Widow or a Hanzo, and I don't think that's a terrible decision. I think Widow may have the advantage when it comes to the distance, but in these up and close engagements, I think the side of UNA is going to have an advantage because of the damage that a Ashe can dish out in close range.
And I do think now that Squib is over onto this Diva, that's a much more precise dive tank to work with a post-star Wrecking Ball. Can really close in on the Widowmaker, but already taken out of that mech by Galvanijo, and going up for the hook shot is James, taken down to half HP. Can't quite land the headshot, but Link Skywalker able to pinch slow-mo.
Ironcrad once again finding two, denying James on the sniper and also the May of J Double. And coming in quite swiftly, nothing that the side of Center College can really do in this stage. They are continuing to actually brawl on site. They'll find one with Link Skywalker and, of course, Galvani to get a kill off. But really and truly, they've also used the Mora ultimate to really lay down that orange and red fire across the board. And it's really going to catch off guard. Squib cannot get dropped in a mech this early again. If that happens, then they're going to be in another tough situation in this engagement.
They were almost able to find Squib. That's what that play was going for. The tanks get shattered down. Shlomo and Squib fall instantly to that slam. Link Skywalker now just contesting this bomb that was thrown on point by Ironcrad. It doesn't look like UNA is able to mount anything off this as James lands the headshot onto Ironcrad as well. The DPS taken down and sent back to spawn.
It's looking like UNA prefers a more wide open objective like the one we saw previously. Just a lot more space across the board, a lot more room for activities. They're really struggling against this Center College side in terms of this indented ground objective, and they're not really sure how to go against this. Squib keeps diving in to maybe contest, but immediately removed from mech, and Shlomo has nothing they can do except get shattered and cut off. Diva ultimate coming out will actually catch two from Galvani. They'll find Tiger and Ironcrad, who switched also to the Widowmaker, and now it's just a cleanup job for Center College. They're rushing in, trying to find everything. But luckily for UNA, they're stepping away. J-Double, though, won't let it. Bananarama, and of course, Thimble fall. And a very nice cleanup from Center College.
Galvanijo had a fantastic bomb right there. The front line was preoccupied with Link Skywalker. They couldn't turn around and face the damage that was bound to hit him. And I think this is where this composition for Center really starts to shine. The May can just isolate on this choke, and James can use the full extent of his range to snipe them down as they come in one by one.
A failed shatter coming from Shlomo, and Galvani will be able to clean up two. In another situation, we're going to have the garage door placed from Bananarama trying to catch players, but it will be walled off by the May. Wall will be destroyed swiftly by Thimble, and they need to step in. They do have the Reaper Beyblade to go off, but it's going to be a Diva bomb that goes. It finds two! Nice from him, and it'll be Squib who cleans it up. Shlomo already on site, and Thimble to find the May, who was such a thorn previously. Good retake. Center College caught off guard from that over-the-top Diva bomb.
Yeah, University of North Alabama able to capture that point off the back of that Diva bomb and managed to save Thimble's Death Blossom and Tiger's beat drop coming up. So not only do they have that ultimate to find the kills, but Tiger has that ultimate to bail him out of anything if it starts to go awry when J Double drops in this May ultimate.
Squib really far aggressive in stance. We also see Ironcrad has switched back to the Genji here. It's a Diva on Diva battle, but the Diva from Center College is actually pocketed by a Mercy, and Squill will be rushed and forced out of the mech. So we are seeing once again Center College emphasizing that structure of taking out the tank first, and a boost will come out from Tiger, boosting up the side of the squad. Ironcrad onto James into the backline. Diva bomb dropping in, connecting to two, but Ironcrad following as well. Galvani needs to find a little bit more if they want to get this going. It'll be Death Blossom from Thimble finding two on a Butternobs and J Double, but Butternobs not to be outdone will finish off Thimble. And it's going to look like cleaned up by Center College as they are just finding off the last few scraps of UNA.
It's still a 2 versus 2. UNA is not going to give this one up that easily. Ironcrad popping the blade, finding a pair as well, not letting them escape with their lives. They know that Center College still has 96%. If the flip came through, it could very well be the last one. Butternut able to get that kill onto Tiger very up front. Tiger overextending pretty massively. We don't really see that from Tiger. It is obviously the red at Lucio, but that time a little too deep even for him.
I think that's one of the things we've seen a lot from UNA. Overextension seems to be a problem for their side, but a dive in coming from Galvani trying to connect. Shlomo connects on everyone in the problem, but he'll fall because Galvani's not letting it go. Square with the Diva Bomb and Galvani as well. Thimble into Toss Boy, but the objective has switched to Center College, not looking hot for UNA.
A very good flip coming through there, despite all these ultimates from UNA thrown in, but UNA able to collect all these kills. But still, though, Center College getting that flip means that they've got one fight left in Phronosis.
It's going to have to be the last one, or more than likely the last one. James going to get off the Widowmaker as well. Needs to get back to the objective quickly, opting for the Soldier 76 with the ability to sprint. Time is running exceedingly thin, however. We will have to see that Galvani will have to dive the objective to touch. Ironcred finding James, the Soldier not being the answer, and Shlomo absolutely charging out J Double. UNA coming in clutch. Frag after frag, nothing the opposing side can do. It's just Link Skywalker alive, and they will fall in stride as Ironclad will finish it off. The first team kill we've seen, and it's for the side that was exceedingly struggling for the entire first portion of that map.
That was a very clean round from UNA. Even when they started to lose fights, the flips for Center College, they didn't manage to keep them for too long. They held that objective the first time they captured it for a long period of time, but other than that, they came in with 2 more flips, and they only had it for a matter of 10 seconds each time. This slam from Shlomo was massive on the right side of Ilios well.
Absolutely disgusting. I think the ult utilization from the UNA squad was better than Center College's. I think Center College's ability to punish the people diving in, getting a little bit too far out, overextending, I guess is the term for it. Center College did a better job of that, but weren't able to utilize all of their ultimates to their full utility, their full usage, and ultimately UNA will take it off with some phenomenal ults from Ironcrad on that Genji to save that one flip. And of course, the Reinhardt shatters we saw from Shlomo time after time on both of those maps.
And what I really noticed from UNA that round was they're the much more confident team when they're down to just 3 members. If they have Squib, Thimble, and Tiger alive, they know that they can make any play that they want to. If there's an isolated target, they know the 3 of them can focus it down. And on the side of Center College, I'm really not seeing that. They seem very strong 6v6 or when they have 5 members in the fight. But when it gets down to 3 or 2 members, they're not quite sure what to focus or if there's anything that they can take down. But UNA, they seem really confident just having 3 members left in a fight to get kills.
One thing I noticed is UNA started to struggle a little bit when the brawl from the Center College side was taking the aggressive stance. They were losing a lot of the brawl engagements in that, indented objective. And also when they got pushed back into their own spawn, they were losing a lot of those brawl fights, which is weird considering UNA's preferred style of play is that brawl-centric composition. They're forced to switch off, and they forced to switch over to a Widowmaker as well in Ironcrad. They tried a McCree, I believe, at one point in time. They switched back to the Genji, which ultimately won them the game. I mean, they're having to find a lot of different things, a lot of different answers to the problem that was arising. And Eichenwald, that 3rd point in this objective for this last push here, pretty brawl-centric when you're inside of that church. And it's going to be difficult to see, or I guess it's a toss-up between which side is actually going to win that brawl fight between UNA and Center College, because both of them have shown me very nice brawl composition. But Center College came out on top when it came down to it.
I think you're right. I think Brawl v Brawl Center College looks very good in the tank line up front, but what I noticed about UNA, just looking at the career profiles, what they play, Shlomo, for the most part, Reinhardt one trick. Just like our player of the match from the last game, Ryan is very in the meta right now. You can get away with playing just that hero, but that UNA team is going to rely a lot on Squib flexing to the rest of his hero pool, which fits perfectly for Shlomo. It's a wrecking ball if they want to go mobility, and he also plays a lot of Zarya and Diva, so that's how this team is going to adapt. They're not going to change up the main tank. They're going to mix it up with the off tank and the DPS. So we'll look to see that going forward when we talk about matchups.
I'm looking forward to this one. This first point in Eichenwald. What is your weird niche picks? Now, we know the Symmetra teleport over the top, right? You got that one that's pretty crazy and wild to see. Last time I saw it, which is also the first time I saw it, it didn't work at all, on the slightest. It got devastated. They denied it.
That was painful to watch.
Yeah, it was not what you wanted to see. But there's some niche picks that you can go through. Of course, I'm going to mention Widowmaker because it's just always a thing that happens, right? A great hero in terms of taking some trick shots. Not really good in actually terms of defending otherwise. But I'm thinking a Recess that could be situated behind tower on the defensive side. Maybe you also bring a Sigma in tow for that double shield. I mean, there's a lot you can bring with it. It's just a matter of, is the UNA or Center College side comfortable enough with that composition to actually make use of it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Some more niche picks that I would be on the lookout for is actually like a Doomfist. Whenever I see a map like this that has those slanted rooftops, You see it on Eichenwald, Dorado, parts of Kings Row, especially second point. Doomfist has some crazy rollouts. And if you want to talk about niche Overwatch plays, Doomfist rollouts are about as niche as they get. And we had a Doomfist last week during the stream matches, Solsta, who was coming out on Dorado, just launching himself off of rooftops, and he had some of the most insane movement that I've ever seen. But now that we're actually into the game, we get to see what these teams pick for real, and I would expect to see Ironcrad on either a sniper or go right back to that Genji.
I think Ironcrad playing the Ashe could have worked out. They did actually win the initial engagement against James, who was on the Widow. But James just had that long-range advantage, you know, just being able to come through, find those shots as the Widowmaker in your own, basically your own spawn up on top of that high ground in the ruin section of that last objective, and really could just find everything they needed to. And Ironcrad didn't have an answer for that until they were able to switch over to the Genji again. And right now, Ironcrad's going to opt for the McCree. I've seen Ironcrad do this before last week. Does a very successful McCree, obviously. Huge difference between McCree and Genji. Ironcrad seeming to find success on basically any DPS he touches. That does make sense since UNA basically stated that is their best player.
And that is how you just stabilize the base of your team. If you base the rest of your composition around a McCree and he saves that stun in a defensive way to bail out one of his buddies, it's so much tougher to dive this comp now. As long as Ironcrad isn't just throwing that stun around whenever he feels like it, trying to get a cheeky kill, and he's saving it for when his team is truly in danger, that's how this hero brings so much value to a brawl comp.
We do see the Widowmaker coming out from James on the attack. This can be viable, but it's going to rely on Shlomo to drop the shield or for somebody to overextend, which technically is actually something UNA's had a bit of a problem with recently, that overextension. But we are seeing Central College trying to jump in very quickly. They're already taking a little bit of control through the first arch, and James is still prowling for the first kill. Ironcrad will win that engagement, and James will fall. And now it's got an advantage. UNA is going to try and act on it. They start swinging pretty early. You do see Link Skywalker just dashing away, wanting nothing of it. And UNA is going to win the first engagement with only 2 people actually falling from this inter-college side.
Good job from Center getting out with most of their team members, not giving a lot of ult charge to this UNA side. The tanks are now sitting at around 60% to their ultimates, which really isn't that much of an advantage with how that fight could have gone. If Tiger hits that speed boost and they get in there, those tanks can do maybe 300-400 more damage. They might even have their ultimates online, but Center doing a great job of regrouping. Now they're taking angles with this double sniper comp, setting it up again.
It's going to be very difficult. Once again, you're seeing Center College take that aggression very swiftly. They're going to push the opposite side of the tower this time. They're going to try and go a little bit more directly to the objective. Thibble's trying to one-on-one with the opposition, but it'll be Tiger who finds the first kill, diving the backline right at Lucio at its finest, and that's going to be pretty devastating. If I'm James, I'm already switching, and that's saying something considering I'm a Widow main.
There was a marathon of Eichenwald pavement between Squib, Tiger, and the rest of this UNA team. They just went so hard into the backline, but now it is not paying off for them. The frontline, Galvanijo just lets that grab go. The Dragon Strike was online, and they managed to find all the kills they're going to need for Center College to take this first point of Eichenwald.
Phenomenal take right there. You may have lost James fairly early on, right? Was able to get back quickly. Does also make the switch like I predicted. They're going to switch over to the McCree to end this off, or at least start this next point. And what phenomenal ult usage coming from Center College. They maybe learned from the last map. They didn't have as good of ult utility usage as the UNA side did. So now they're saying, hey, we can use them exceptionally well too. And while the, Dragon Strike could have found 1 or 2 more, I think, but it was the Immortality Field that had saved them, so Bananarama getting a couple points in my mind. It doesn't matter in the end, though. Ultimately, they will lose that point.
Ultimately, they will, and this is what we see different about Emergence Division when we go up top. Okay, pause for a second as the slam lands. The B-drop does bail him out. Tiger doing a great job letting that ultimate loose when he needed to most. And now Center College gets back down. The slam onto the Zarya. Diva Bomb over the top, able to find Crow. And it looks like Center College is going to have fantastic positioning to stick to the second point defense.
Did James really switch back to Widow again? Squib's not letting that one go. I was stuck watching that. I'm
sorry to cut you off. Reminds me of SpongeBob. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Squib just closes in and rockets him down for like the 3rd or 4th time.
Oh my goodness, man. It sucks to be a Widow main and have Divas and Winstons constantly dive you. Thimble's waiting though. Oh, it almost could have been good. They don't actually jump over the wall, but it will be a wall hack coming from them. Butternubs with the ultimate onto Thimble, who wastes their Reaper Beyblade as well. And unfortunately now UNA a player down, and James still has the opportunity to go for some sniping kills. Crow with a double sniper setup finds Shlomo. Ironcrad gets the one redeeming kill before falling to Crow as well. And UNA on the back burner here needs to take a full step back as that double sniper lineup from the Center College side is devastating them.
It really is, and this is the part of the second point here on Eichenwald where double sniper just looks even better. The snipers can hang up on these high grounds now that they have that access to them. They're looking right at the defender spawn doors, and the front line for this team can just waste no time getting right up into the grill of Shlomo. And this is going to be an absolute main tank battle. Bob gets thrown in the Shatterlands, Graviton Surge to just finish him off. And Infernosis, they might have done it, but the Immortality Field and the Bob from Ironcrad are absolutely insane.
I have never seen a team that deserves to be more dead than the UNA side. Why did Center College not break the Immortality Field? You have two snipers who can take that out, and you don't do it, and UNA wins the fight off of just a miracle play. What is happening here? I mean, I want a replay of that. That's just everything.
Infernosis, Baptiste has this stat when you press tab that is immortality deaths prevented. I think he might have gotten 8 right there in that Graviton Surge. Now the slam gets laid down from Shlomo and quickly sent back to spawn again as center.
I mean, we do see Galvani, who apparently takes a drink down into the river below, will fall off, and Ironcrad finding Crow, Squib cleaning off Link Skywaker. Really no chance for Center College, need to regroup. You do see that Toss Boy. She will have popped the Valkyrie pretty quickly there and no longer has it available. James does narrowly escape with their life over. Squib was hunting for it, but nothing beyond that point. UNA has done a very nice job of holding it at this elbow. They didn't hold the first elbow that well, but this elbow they've done a pretty good job, really off the back of that Immortality Field that Bananarama has placed and saved everything for.
It's so tough as the attackers, even if you can set up on these high grounds, just like in baseball, you got to throw strikes. You got to walk across this bridge, and it is a nightmare. Tiger is the aforementioned Reddit Lucio in the lobby. He's looking to get boop kill after boop kill on this bridge and make it almost impossible for Center College to get across safely, but James lands the opening headshot, and that gives him a window.
Very nice opportunity. Shlomo finds one with a fire strike, but will fall to Galvani. Link Skywaker cleaning up Tiger. The Reddit Lucio will fall, and the Immortality Field from Bananarama is not going to matter because, well, the revive from Toss Boy and, of course, the 2 cleanups by Crow and Link Skywaker will remove UNA's chances of holding it on this second point. But now, like we talked about previously, this third section, the internals of this church, are going to be exceedingly difficult to try and hold on to.
Yeah, they have managed to get through the second point, beginning to siege the castle as the rubble falls in the doorway behind them and they move up. They've got a lot of ultimates to work with. Link Skywaker laying on this Earth Shatter, looking to lay it down, but the first slam comes out from Shlomo, able to find the Diva, but they can't confirm the kill.
It will be traded, and no, the DPS from the side of UNA getting caught out on the side, not behind Shlomo's shield, will be saved by the Reddit Lucio Tiger, and really just a tit-for-tat kind of trade for those ultimates. No side really taking the advantage, and even if UNA was able to get a pick, it's really just a small amount of ult charge, considering the fact that right now Center College can respawn and get back in just like 7 seconds. It's not a huge deficit here.
Yeah, and Center College, all that did for them, I mean, they lost the Earth Shatter, but now they've got 3 ultimates online. The Diva Bomb finds a pair. Dragon Strike coming through to take down Squib. The payload will be pushed forward. Able to find Shlomo as well with that Dragon Strike because he couldn't make his way around the corner, and that is the quick team wipe, but there will be one last fight.
Double after double, and now you're having to rely on probably Tiger to get in the back line and actually tap a couple times and really force the tanks out of positions. You do see him go ahead and hopping onto the payload, fighting going on. Butternums onto Tiger. Ironcrad falling to the sniper of Crow. The garage door will go out, but everything around you is falling apart. Shlomo and Squib, your tank line devastated by Link Skywaker and Galvani, who also finds another under Bananarama, and it's all over for UNA. Did buy some very nice time, however. 24 seconds left at the end there for Center College. The question is, can UNA actually get beyond Center College here, or is this going to go 1-1 here, and we'll have to rely on the third map to determine who wins it?
It isn't the biggest time bank we've seen. I mean, they got under a minute, which honestly is a good defense from UNA. If they can capture this with a minute or more, it's fantastic. And if they capture it with no time at all, they still get that chance in overtime. That's how hybrid works. It's not quite like payload. They will get the luxury of a second attack if they're able to get all 3 points, no matter what. But I think what impressed me right there was after Galvanijo let that Diva Bomb rip, found the 2K, it was all downhill from there after that bomb. Easy third point.
It's a very interesting one indeed. We're going to look ahead of the lineups that are coming through. We don't see a Widowmaker, at least just yet, but we are seeing a Zenyatta come out. That's always the first point I bring up. It's just the Widowmaker.
Look at that. No Widowmaker.
Look at that. I'm disappointed. What can I say? But
looks like I'm not in the game.
yeah, exactly. There is a Zenyatta. Nope, it gets switched off. Okay, well, they're really screwing me through right at this point, just trying to mess me up here. But no, they're going to re-opt for that Baptiste, which is a smart decision for UNA, considering it is basically that savior. Ironclad was in the first map, had a couple good plays here, but it was really Bananarama with the immortality fields that were giving UNA any chance to stay in these fights.
I'd have to agree. The immortality fields from Bananarama were insanely massive. That kept them the second point defense going for a couple of fights, especially that Graviton Surge fight. Crow wasting no time, zapping down Ironclad.
That's a very nasty pick to have going off. You kind of want that Mei as a way to wall off and kind of secure your ability to step on a point, but UNA does not care. They're still stepping in. They're really going through. Yelk saying let Reinhardt wall ride. And in the middle of the fight as well, but Galvani finding out Shlomo with a quick little punch, and Crow finding their second in here. Thimble will fall, and UNA finally need to take a step back, but Squib does have some pretty good charge coming out into their Zarya.
I like how you read the chat right there, and I'm going to say that Shlomo would not have died if Reinhardt had the ability to wall ride right there.
Yeah, so that's, you know...
Wouldn't have happened. He would.
I don't even know how to grace that.
He would have been fine, just like Tiger. He should have the same exact mobility, but now they're going in on the left side in Infernosis, a different look, and they're going in fast. Tiger's on this speed, and they're not going to let go of the gas. The Coalescence coming up from Butternut, able to zap a couple down. Ironclad and Tiger fall, and now the attack is just squandered yet again. James landing a couple of 2-taps, taking down Squib last.
What a great Coalescence, knowing that you can take the front. It does go through those shields. You can kind of take the front side, but why go through the front when you can go around the back where they're not expecting you? Goes around the opposite side of the tower, just lays it into their backline, forcing them to take a step up directly into your 5 other teammates. No chance for them. And now UNA is going to be struggling. 4 ultimates are ready for the opposing side, and they only have 2 in their pocket.
They've got 2 in their pocket, but if you slap a window in front of a Graviton Surge, that is so much damage. It's so deadly, but Galvanijo has a chance to make a massive defensive play if they're able to eat up that Graviton Surge. Dragon Strike gets sent through, and the Shatter to combo it. Thimble, Ironclad, Shlomo, they all fall to the Dragon. Squib goes down. Crow's got 4 on his own.
That is the meatiest Dragon Strike we've seen in this matchup today. We had seen 2 after 2 get killed consistently. We had seen one where there's a good chance for a 4v5, saved by the immortality field of Bananarama. But that one, no immortality field in sight to save them out, and quite frankly, it just devastated UNA. Nothing they can do, and they're struggling immensely to get through into this first points.
They really are. I think now is the time to change up your rotations. The slam lands, the window and the grab. This is what we talked about. So much damage stacked on top of each other. James popping this high noon, zoning them out, and able to do some damage onto Shlomo, who's taken out by Crow, but the first point seemingly already captured by UNA, as it is a 4 versus just 1, as Crow makes his final stand on the point before going down to Bananarama.
Battle Mercy, Toss Boy, she'll try to go for it, will not be able to, and we're seeing a Widowmaker switched. My eyes immediately caught that coming into the stand screen, all right? They caught that immediately. And to be fair, for the defensive side, Widowmaker's actually fairly competent on this middle points. Not so much in the first, just not enough wide open space, and we know James can play it, and we're back to that double sniper comp that this center college side is really favoring.
Not only can James play it, but I like how he plays it. He goes for so many hook shots, which you might think isn't all that smart if you can be dove by an off tank, but it does give you that extra angle, and if you can line up that shot onto a squishy target's head, it provides so much value for that team, and it's a very confident play. He's not going to hold any punches on this pick, but Thimble comes in with a Blossom, and that finds at least 4 on its own.
UNA? Where did that come from? Where did you get that one coming through? Even Butternubs on the center college side is saying Pog in the chat. Absolutely devastating. The combination, you had Squib dive like you were just talking about the Widowmaker, forcing them down despite having the hookshot on cooldown. Crow will attempt with a nice Dragon Strike. It will find 1. Ironclad will fall to James, and UNA got it pretty far, but they're already 2 players down.
It zoned off the bridge so well. They've got this coalescence, and now there is nothing stopping the front line from just moving straight in. Squib does go off the map. The hammer swing from Link Skywalker takes him off, and now the defense has a second point hold chance yet again. And this is where you can really set up some fantastic positioning around the bridge.
While it isn't as flashy as the play that UNA did to secure that push, it's still a successful one, and that's really all that matters. That is such a hard point to try and take control of. I want to see UNA actually go behind them and play them from behind. They do have Shlomo's ult of that Reinhardt, shatter. We do actually see them trying to take the high ground as well. Shatter finding two on the very last blip of the edge, and it's going to be a high ground taken with a garage door, but they're going to force them off as well. Shlomo onto Link Skywalker. Galvani will find Shlomo, and that's a tank down, but the Mercy Valkyrie will keep them in the fight for Center College. James finding Bananarama. Another strike coming through from Crow. It won't find a kill, but Tossboy, she'll find a revive. Unfortunately for them, James falls as well. UNA trying their best with their DPS to stay in it. They're doing a fairly good job of it, but you already have Link Skywalker back into the fight, and they're close to their shadow.
Crow goes down, though, and that's the biggest player so far for this roster of Center. Thimble lines up another death loss from the payload. Will reach the second point. 2:30 left to work with going into the third point for UNA. And honestly, Infernosis, I like what I'm seeing. They're only going to have the Diva Bomb, but they're not far off of the Earth Shatter. The DPS ultimates aren't even close. But a couple of dry fights here, and they could easily collect this third point with time on the clock.
I mean, I was so anticipating that it'd be like every round or every fight would be kind of guaranteed off the ultimate from Ironcrad, whether it was successful or not. No, it's been Thimble. Thimble has been that consistency here on this map with this attack. Phenomenal Beyblades coming through. That Death Blossom has found almost every single opposition, but it's going to be a Shadow that finds 3 from Skywalker in a trade. Only catching 2! Oh! 4! And it's a big bomb as they try to clean up. UNA taking this one quite swiftly. The ult-on-ult battle is going in UNA's favor.
Well, we said it pre-fight. They only had the Diva Bomb. It's all they needed. Squib found the quad kill. Shlomo shutting down the front door. Fire striking away Crow. Butternut goes down to Squib, who is on a tear right now. Tiger letting the beat drop loose. Keeps the rest of his team fully supported through the rest of this fight, and they should be able to clean this up from here.
Tossboy, she's just praying in the sky right now. You do have Crow switching over to the Doomfist, charging it actually fairly quickly, but it's not going to matter. Ironcrad and Shlomo find 2 as Thimble will clean up Galvani, and Tossboy, she will fall to Squib. 1 and 48 left, so much more time than we saw Center College was able to do, but it was looking exceedingly close off of that first point, and a little bit close on the ending of that second point because Center College did a fairly good job of holding them back.
I think it's funny that we found the third point captured almost in identical ways. The Diva Bomb comes in, gets a massive amount of kills. In the case of Center College, it was only 2, I believe, but on the case of UNA, I mean, it was 4. It was the biggest ultimate we've seen all around. Maybe second to that Dragon Strike on first point from Crow, but massive Diva Bombs to take the third point. Completely explosive Eichenwald map so far.
Absolutely brutal. Just everything coming down. We're all talking in the chat right now asking which 4K is getting the play of the game, and I'm going to call it here. There's going to be a 5K. Who's getting 5 kills here?
Yeah,
whose ultimate's going to do it? It's not over. There's plenty of time.
All headshots.
James all head. So not even an ultimate to guarantee the play of the game.
James
Disgusting.
5 for 5 on headshots. That's what it's going to be. That would be so awesome, man. I would never doubt Widowmaker again after that.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I opened up the career profile menu to try and see what James's stats here are on the Widowmaker. I'm pulling that up. They have a whole 6 minutes in this current competitive season on Widowmaker, and in fact, he has more hours on Widowmaker than I do as a whole.
Okay, so not a lot of time this season. Might not be warmed up on that hero too much. Might hit a headshot and be like, whose hands are these? But it's good to know he's got some time on that hero in his career. But now the first attackers rolling in. Crow sticking to this Hanzo, looking to spam down the front line. Does a little damage with the help of James to take down Thimble, and the front line is absolutely brawling it out on this first corner.
Once again, Center College coming in quite swiftly, devastating UNA. Shlomo gets 1 consolation kill, but quite frankly, it's the only one you've got it, and it looks like it's going to be the only one you actually do get in at all. Tiger, who switched over to the Mora, will fall quite swiftly. Maybe you should have stayed to the Lucio because Center College just devastated you.
They did. Center College has to rush the high ground now. Unfortunately for them, UNA is going to get control of this castle, which is 3 stories of high ground above where this gateway is that the payload moves through. If this was one of the upper divisions, we would probably see this team rushing to take control of that good positioning, but with the overtime already underway, you don't want to stray too far from the cart. Shlomo moves back in. He's got to counter the shadow from Link Skywalker. Ironcrad goes down to the Sonic Arrow of all things. Shlomo lays down the slam, finds a couple, hasn't confirmed any kills yet.
Devastating fight. We're going to see a Dragon Strike come through, connecting, and hasn't yet guaranteed a kill, but Crow will do it with the bow in hand. UNA getting devastated. Now Squib forced out of the mech. Will step back away, looking like they'll survive, hopefully trying to charge that mech as quick as possible. But it's not looking good for UNA. They have to stay on the point if you're Center College. You cannot step off the payload at this point, or it's game over for you.
Yeah, it almost is game over. I mean, we are on the cusp of it with overtime ticking down, and I think that could be worrying to University of North Alabama. That might have been why they didn't choose to just control the high grounds of this castle. They chose to take the fight right at the gate with all their members on the bottom floor. Instead, you could just set up around them, go through the poke phase of the fight. Big slatter from Link. Okay, right through the window. Diva Bomb over top, able to find at least Thimble, taking down the Immortality Field as well. Diva Bomb for Galvaniho. Coming up big right there. That's going to keep the attack going into second point. They're going to finish it off.
Center College having a more successful attack in overtime than they did in the actual game. Nothing that UNA has tried, switching around constantly, consistently to find a new answer. None of them have worked. And it's devastating to behold if you're a UNA fan, because Center College is slaughtering you at every angle, and you're going to have to do the same thing if you want any chance. And it's not looking hot.
Here's the thing, though. They don't have Diva Bomb online. I don't know how they're going to capture this third point. We haven't seen either team do it without a Diva Bomb, but Butternut opens it up with the Coalescence. James says, don't worry, we've got the ults for it. Crow lands the arrow into the head of Shlomo, and that's going to keep this payload pushing.
I think they're going to take it the whole way.
Yeah, man.
I genuinely think Tiger finally switching back to the Lucio. Maybe it's the answer, but you've already lost Bananarama, and the Immortality Field was popped and it's gone. Tiger falls to Butternubs, and it's not the answer. Indeed, it's UNA with a high noon from Ironcrad. Will be eaten by Galvani, but the push is coming through. Squib's able to knock up a couple, but it's not going to matter when you can't stay alive consistently long enough. The healing coming from the side of Center College is amazing, staying consistently alive and no one falling off. A pray and hope from UNA as they try to stay on this.
Tossboy has her Valkyrie ready. Now that should keep him supported through the rest of it. If there was any doubt, there no longer is. The damage boost makes such quick work of this University of North Alabama squad, and it is just a matter of time before we see that 6 next to Center College up on the scoreboard.
I'm actually impressed with how long Thimble was able to buy time right there. Impressive to use the recall to get into a better situation. UNA is able to step back on, but a Coalescence coming from Butternubs will devastate again. Just the constant damage. High noon from James will be denied by Bananarama, who comes from the backside. Garage door down, and UNA is still trying to fight this back. Minefield and objective finds Tossboy. She will be here no longer. Back and forth action on this last payload. UNA praying for something here, and it looks like they just might have it. High noon, Shatter coming through, and Shlomo able to connect Thimble with 2, and UNA stops it. Round 3 complete, and it's just like 0.5 meters away.
Thimble coming out of spawn with the Akimbo Model 18. Dude, like the Call of Duty guns back in the day that were so OP, he just rolls into the point and bursts down pretty much everyone in sight, comboing on the side of Squib. That was an incredible defense, but still, I think the more notable thing here is attacking in overtime with only a minute on the clock and getting it almost to the entire finish line of the third point. Fantastic job by Center College.
You know, I don't remember the model shotguns from Modern Warfare falling on the floor when you reloaded them, but, you know, it is pretty darn close in nature. I don't think UNA is going to have this. They struggled the most on this first point. It took them almost the entire time pool of the bank to even take the objective. It required like 3 ults to get it. It's not looking hot for UNA.
It's really not. I do think once overtime was underway, even though they were the defending team and they had all the advantages, maybe just that overtime meter was making them panic out of those good positionings they could have taken on second point, because they really did just give up that first fight after the gate. And from there, they just couldn't make their way out of those tight spawn doors. And third point, able to finally put a stop to it. But by then, the cart has just gone too far for overtime.
Time will have to tell. UNA does have more time, but it's not going to matter when Center College did not step off the payload for a single second until they were forced off in the final meter. That was that last bit of the payload. Squib aggressively coming through, forcing the Center College side to take a small step back. Will drop, connecting onto 4 people to knock him up, and it's UNA coming in swinging. Ironcrad finding James before Thimble will fall to Crow, and Shlomo's doing their best. And Shatter forced back, and UNA already finding a couple for themselves, but it's traded tit for tat with Center College.
Squib doing a great job grappling around, rolling through, booping everything on the side of Center College, not letting him gain any valuable ground, but Crow is standing strong. Every time he's got the Storm Arrow on cooldown, something goes down on the side of University of North Alabama. They've got to find a way to deal with this Bowman.
Squib was the saving grace of UNA, and that pushed guaranteed so much for them, but a big issue came through. Your healers were not figuring out who to heal. Tiger, in a difficult situation, turned to maybe go and heal Squib, who didn't necessarily need it, and Shlomo died on point in the attempted brawl with Link Skywalker. Your healers need to know exactly where to aim to be able to fight these ones out, but a minefield from Squib already charged into the objective, but it'll be another ult coming out, the Dragon Strike, which shockingly doesn't find any, and UNA coming out strong. Toss Boy falling. She will not be relegated any longer, and Shlomo will guarantee the team kill. Every time this objective's been taken by UNA, it's been a team kill.
Yeah, they make quick work when it's their turn to capture the objective, and I love that nano boost coming out from Tiger. Once that was slapped on the Shlomo, that was a tough sentence to get through. They made such quick work. Shlomo just went in and bursted down everything in the front line. It's what made that fight a no-doubter. It's what made it a team kill. But now Squib goes down and overtime is almost underway. This is not the spot you want to be in if you're UNA getting through the gates.
They're going to have a very difficult time, but you know that Center College made it all the way. A gate will come through, but it'll be the deep ball in the back line, and it will connect to 3. Shlomo, put your shield up, and that's going to be the end if UNA can't stay here. Squib will be trying their hardest, but it looks all for naught. Staying for a couple seconds, but Center College will actually take this map, and Eichenwald will go in favor. It's 1-1.
That was crazy. I mean, you and I both saw it. Shlomo did not get the big blue rectangle up in time. He didn't have it. I knew he didn't have it. As a Reinhardt player, I was watching him. I saw it break when it was first cracked, and it was still on cooldown, only sitting at around 200, and it needs 500 to go back up. This Diva Bomb from Squib, no doubter. That's what finished this point with a hefty time bank. But that hefty time bank, not enough to get them the win in this one. It's going to be Center College with only a minute in their overtime attack. Almost finish Eichenwald a second time.
There it is. Bananarama, 16 immortality field deaths prevented. Nearly 6,000 damage total. Oh my goodness.
That's a crazy Baptiste stat. Absolutely insane Baptiste stat. I think in that one Graviton Surge, he probably saved about 3,000 damage from going on to his teammates. It was incredible.
Absolutely, absolutely devastating. UNA had no answers. Nothing they could do. I mean, Center College came out and just disgusting. And every single account, nothing they could do. UNA struggled. They did have the Baptiste. I actually want to give Bananarama player of the match there because the amount of constant 4Ks we were getting from both Crow, from James, I think at one point on the McCree, we saw some good high noons and Dragon Strikes and Diva Bombs. We saw back and forth everywhere from both sides. But it was the immortality fields for Bananarama, which denied more than there actually was. I want to give player the game, at least for that map. We'll have to see how the other ones pan out. One map's not going to guarantee you my vote, but that map, I'm giving it to Bananarama.
I'd have to agree. They had the most impressive performance on Eichenwald, hands down. The DPS battle is very close between these two teams, between Crow and Thimble and Ironcrad and James. I mean, they counter each other so well. Thimble on the Reaper, too, playing a hero that no one else is in this lobby and coming out, getting that Death Blossom almost on cooldown seemingly every fight. And then Squib is not missing with these Diva Bombs. They're coming up big every time he launches them.
I mean, honestly, we saw as many switches coming through, right? We saw everything coming in every direction. UNA switching on when they were having the payload getting pushed against them on their defensive overtime. Center College just laying onto them. We saw them switch to Ana. We saw them switch to Mora. We saw the healers trying everything they could. The DPS switching as well. I wanted to see them just stick to one single person. Now, they had to switch off in the last meter where they were able to save it, but we absolutely needed them to stay on it so they could actually have ults to win the fights, because that was the determining factor between both teams. Ults won those engagements, because when they were just swinging, it's just brawling. It's just them playing to play, and it was very breakneck even. It was just coming down to one extra swing on the Reinhardt, but these ultimate battles, which went either way, were what were guaranteeing it, and UNA was switching off before they could get them.
Yeah, they were. They were trying to answer before the fights even took place, before they really built up as many resources as they could give themselves. And I think that is what cost them that map. But going into Watchpoint Gibraltar, this is another map that has so many high grounds. The first point of Eichenwald and the third point are flat. Watchpoint Gibraltar, they are all so vertical. I mean, it's looking like we're just going to ditch the Reinhardts and just go Winston Diva every single match of the night on this map pool for Watchpoint. I would expect to see it again here.
Now, Widowmaker.
Okay, it's a Widowmaker map. Yeah, you could be a very happy caster watching this one.
I am, and to be fair, if you take a look at James's career profile, he's right here in the menu. Hit all modes. He has more hours on Widowmaker than I do, I believe. I can double check my own.
You're a one trick. You are a certified, self-proclaimed one trick,
and he has more hours than I do.
Yeah.
So I'm a very happy camper watching this Inter College side and seeing James come out with that Widowmaker pick. I'm a very, very happy camper.
Yeah, Widowmaker with dive too is very special. You land even a body shot. That's the thing, is if you're running dive, you don't have to be clicking heads. You can hit a guy straight in the chest, the biggest part of the hitbox, and if you let your tanks know and they pounce on that injured squishy, it's instantly gone. I mean, Widowmaker can just control all the sight lines playing into a dive comp, and I think that's what we're going to see, at least from the side of center. James is bound to be on the Widowmaker. How do they counter that?
Yeah, I mean, shields, I mean, if you just keep your players behind shields, there's so much variation in high ground for this map. It's not really easy to find safety, right?
Good Genji map, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good Genji map. That's a good point.
You can send your own dive right back at James, but you can't overcommit to him, and that could be the problem that they run into. Is if James is doing work, which he very well could. I mean, if you're a Widowmaker, Watchpoint Gibraltar is a home game for you. If James is popping off, they can't overcommit to him, or else that's going to leave everything else vulnerable, and center can just get value from elsewhere.
I think we should see a pirate ship. I think that's what we should see, actually. And yeah, I don't mean that ironically. I genuinely think a pirate ship is a good counter to Widowmakers, having faced them. Orisas, they are the most annoying people to face. Their heads are the easiest clicking ever. I mean, I see an Orisa head and all the endorphins in my brain just immediately shoot out happy juices, and I feel amazing. And then I remember, oh yeah, their shield is the most annoying thing on the human planets. I'm never getting through that.
Too.
Yeah,
if you're the only one on your team shooting an Orisa shield, you're never getting through. You got to take those off angles. Sometimes they're not even available to you, but now we're getting into Watchpoint. I'm pretty sure we know what James is going to play, but still, everyone else, the picks are up in the air.
I definitely think that a pirate ship could work. Maybe not exactly Bastion, right? Maybe a Torbjorn. We see a Torbjorn go onto it. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Do you run the Bastion on defense, though? On attack, I could see University of North Alabama pulling out the pirate ship to counter James, but on defense, do you set up with a Bastion or something else to counter him?
High ground has to be held on the defensive side, and there's a lot of it to hold here, so that's a big pivotal point, and it looks like they're actually going to go a Widow v Widow battle. Double sniper for both sides. None of them are rocking an Orisa, so no shield. Maybe they'll both switch once they see both are rocking a Widowmaker, but there's nothing super there to deny Widow. Honestly, if any of your backline step out from behind the shield, there's going to be a head that's now on the floor. You're going to lose your eye sockets.
Yeah, you are. Every single sightline is going to be dangerous with a Widow on attack and defense. Iron Crab, Bananarama, Tiger, and the squishies on the side of Center College, they're going to be fighting on kitchen tiles for spaces where they can stand. There is not going to be much room. You can't peek these players. They're too good. James has already showed us that if you step into his sightline, he's clicking your head. No problem at all.
Push coming through immediately. Sniper v sniper battle. It does look like James is going for the trick shot. Thimble and them trying to trade fire, but Shlomo has to be aware of the position of his own Widow behind him. Yes, his teammates are also useful and very important, but when you're relying on that Thimble, on that Widowmaker to bite out their own Widowmaker, you have to make sure you're not wiggling out from and keeping them out of cover. this first little push around this elbow is going to be a big portion, but at that stage, just drop down. The second we see the Reinhardt of slow-mo drop down, Crow finds Thimble, exactly what I'm talking about, and they'll find a second. Both snipers for UNA out for the count.
Who's the best sniper in the lobby? It's got to be Crow. He did an insane amount of damage on Eichenwald, and he's already off to the races again in Infernosis.
Absolutely devastating. UNA just kind of trapped in the corner, not sure what to do with themselves. Shlomo's shield just milliseconds away from being devastated entirely, and a coalescence coming out from Butternubs. Nothing they can do about it, just eating up the damage. It will be an immortality field for Bananarama, but it will be cleared, and Bananarama will fall. Galvani will find onto Shlomo. Squib gets a consolation prize to James, but Crow will find their Widow as well, and a second onto Tiger. Center College coming out strong.
They really are, and just to reiterate the stakes, this is the number 5 seed University of North Alabama versus the number 6 seed Center College, and Center College are looking to pull off an upset, get back into the playoff picture, and become a 500 record team again in the season. Dude, Crow is on fire. He is in complete control of this game.
There is absolutely nothing they can do to stop him right now. They need to actually successfully dive. It doesn't look like the Dragon Strike will actually find anything, but UNA will find a safety net in the corner. It will be James's ult now. The wall hack from up on top of the ship. He'll tag a couple, finding Thimble to finish this one off, and Ironcrad also in the line of sight. James on a tear, finding three. James going off here. Widowmaker going in. Exactly what you want to see, but UNA not going to find anything.
Takes down Bananarama 2, and the payload seamlessly makes its way through the second point. 5:46 on the clock. That is disgusting.
UNA has to find an answer. There has to be a solution to this, and quite frankly, they're not finding it. Ironcrad has the Bob available for their ultimate, but I think we need to see this switch over to Genji. Ironcrad has 470 hours on Genji. That's more than James has on Widow. Maybe that huge difference of 200 hours would be enough to guarantee that 1v1, but you have to find a solution to Crow and James because you're not finding it yet.
The Bob gets thrown in from Ironcrad. Beat drop coming up from Tiger Gun. Keep them all alive at least for now, but that Diva Bomb finds a pair. Bananarama and Ironcrad go down. Now is Ironcrad's chance to switch over to a hero other than Ashe. Maybe contest James and Crow on these snipers who have just done way too much from their own backline and have not been under enough pressure in this round.
You see the Red Lucio of Tiger taking things into his own hands as James finds Thimble. And it's going to be a difficult situation. Tossboy, she'll use the revive onto James, but found again by Ironcrad. Crow with a double with a Dragon Strike. And now it's just Shlomo really trying to swing and stay alive. You do have now Squib coming in to help, but no healer to help Shlomo, who will fall because of it. Squib doing their best. If there's one thing UNA is good at, it's the last 3 meters of the objective, but they've got to buy time for 5 minutes. It's not looking hot. Immortality field down and out for the count. Bananarama falling. No chance for UNA. 4 minutes and 21 seconds for Center College still available in the bank.
Yeah, James and Crow were not letting those defenders get any daylight. I mean, that was just disgusting. James did get killed by Tiger in the end there as Tiger went for that Red Lucio kill. But once James was back in the mix, he was hanging so far in his own backline, you couldn't put any pressure onto him. And he's just back there hitting headshots, doing 300 damage at a time like a madman, and just completely controlled the game. Center College end up in the 3rd map of the series with a 4:21 time bank. That's nuts. They're looking to be the new 5 seed in the Emergent Division.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what they can do. Obviously, they've apparently had some harder matches so far going into this one, and now UNA struggling 2 back-to-back matches, which may look like losses coming out of the books. James still opting to go into the Widowmaker, not a shocking pick. Ironcrad onto the Genji, which is exactly what we needed him to do. It's probably their one chance to stay into this one, but if Bananarama on the Ana can't heal Ironcrad enough with enough well-placed shots as he dives the backline, then Ironcrad could be facing a really difficult situation, especially when you're facing off against a Hanzo who can basically one-tap you. There's Shimada brothers, really not good counters to each other. It's going to be hard for both.
Yeah, I would favor Ironcrad on the Genji in the duel against either the DPS, but if they're getting support from their teammates, the tides are turned so quickly when you're on Genji. He can't quite do that much burst damage if there's any healing being done onto your target. It's going to be interesting, but I think Crow and James have just been too dominant in this map to not go Genji. Thimble back on the Widowmaker, so they're taking the sniper duel, and they're putting extra pressure on with the Genji pick. I love this coming out from University of North Alabama. I'm just shocked why we didn't see it sooner.
Great job by Squib to knock them off the high ground. already Link Skywalker is forced down and below, and UNA is able to take the fight. Thimble onto Butternubs. He's switched over, saved that pick for the last second. Does go to Widow, and you already have the man advantage, and James is in a tight spot. Link Skywalker removing the man advantage. Squib will fall, but he's already done his business, forcing them off of the high ground.
Squib just gets caught into the back line of Center College right there. Didn't look like he had any cooldown stuck in the ball for him. Not able to get through the doorway he was trying to squeak through either. Now the pin from Link connects onto the main tank of University of North Alabama, and Crow makes quick work of Thimble and Bananarama with a couple of headshots, not missing between the pair of those shots, and that is fantastic work. Crow has been pulling his weight all round long for 2 maps straight. This has been the player you're looking to counter. James has done well on the Widowmaker, but Crow on Hanzo has been other level for this emerging division.
Absolutely disgusting to behold. Crow single-handedly, I won't say single-handedly. James has definitely been a big prowess forward, but Crow has devastated UNA despite them attempting to dive him consistently. Squibs has done a phenomenal job of that, but it's not been enough, and Squib's going to need some healing, dropping a little bit low, and the minefield is ready, but can't really pop that if you can't get in without dying. Shlomo with a nice fire strike to Butternubs to remove that healer, but it will be immediately revived and refragged back-to-back by Crow and Galvani, who find Shlomo and Tiger. Minefield down, Ironcrad dashing into Tossboy, she'll fall. Squib one with the minefield on a Butternub. 2 healers out for the counts.
This is going to be tough. I was not expecting that minefield to come up with so many kills. Squib rolling through again, taking down Link Skywalker. A phenomenal job by the off-tank. And now the Diva Bomb going to find the pair. Shlomo pinning back to the point, goes down to that, but still. The attacking team, North Alabama, they've done it. They've got the first point with a hefty time bank of their own.
They desperately needed this. It's still more than likely not going to equal the same one we've seen from Center College. It's just too long of a distance, but Ironcrad doing a nice job of diving onto James on top of the ship will secure the kill. And they're going to need to keep that man advantage, but it's going to be difficult when it's a little hard to heal in this section. Thimble in the very far back, attempting to find some Widowmaker shots as well, like James had done previously. But James has now switched over to McCree, hoping this is the deciding factor to shut UNA down.
Nano Blade ready, let it rip, goes right on the Crow. He knows who the carry is, and he takes him down. Deflects the stun right back into the face of James and deletes the second DPS. And it doesn't look like they're done here. Despite losing Shlomo, this team still pushes forward, countered by the Shadow that takes down Bananarama. But still, they've got enough members left to finish this fight off.
Ironcrad once again finding another double kill onto the back line, and also finding Galvani in the process. Nothing they're able to do against that, and Squib's just going to continue that dominant reign, diving into the back line, finding Crow. Can we digest that Nano Blade that came from Ironcrad, the phenomenal decision to dive Crow, and then the perfect reflect into the stun from James? Just phenomenal work overall.
Very good heads-up play, knowing the cooldowns he was working against. Now he rolls right in, deflects that fire strike back to get 30% of his ultimate. He just used Blade Infernosis. He's sitting at 60 to his next one. Bananarama, who just nanoed him, is sitting at 30 to the next nano. Crazy. So much damage.
Ironcrad has been known to use the blade without a nano to support it, but quite frankly, I think it should honestly be safe. Thimble is going to offer the ult, but we do see a Coalescence for Nubs and the Valkyrie and a Dragon Strike as well from Crow. And it looks like Center College is not going to let this one go. They're going to force UNA to a death and forcing them to either regroup or just plain die in the situation. Squib's going to stand still, knows it's coming, just accepts defeat there. UNA desperately needs to regroup. They could have delayed that Squib kill. He's just going to sit there and wait it out. Would have been a little bit devastating to UNA, but UNA, good decision to just die, take the L in that fight, and then play for the next one.
A quick regroup here, no sweat off their backs, but looking at the Center College time bank, UNA has done a great job attacking this round, and they are still a minute behind Center already. That Center attack in the first round was completely ridiculous. Ironcrad doing a great job right there to headshot down James. The slam from Shlomo comes through. Ironcrad able to clean up that kill as well. The speed boost is activated. Their foot's on the gas. They're rolling deep. It's all blue in the feed. 3 minutes left on the clock. Payload contested by the Wrecking Ball, at least for a little bit. That's going to add another fight to this watch point round.
Interesting decision. He placed the minefield from Squib to try and force them to stay inside their spawn. Good decision. Gonna be hard for them to push it, but Link Skywalker is there also with a shatter. Shlomo turned the wrong way, connects with all, and now it's a good decision. Blade will come out from Ironcrad, praying to find something, but he hasn't found one. Finally finds Skywalker and of course Butternubs, and continues his spree onto James, but the minefield from Galvani will make it a little bit more difficult to stay on. UNA 4 players contesting the payload, and you've got to deal with Tossboy and Galvani, the 2 players who can stay on for as long as possible, and it's not looking good when you've lost your healer to a minefield.
It was going so great for him. Ironcrad able to find incredible value with that Butterblade. No nano needed, but the defender is able to get back on this stall comp. Crow switching over to the Doomfist. Fantastic. Getting a kill right as he comes out of the spawn doors, and that keeps this defense alive.
It's exactly what they needed in that situation. Obviously, UNA cannot get the same amount of time that Center College has. They will be short by 2 minutes plus. But UNA has a very nice chance of actually making this and pushing it the last few meters. Squib dopping onto the back line. He'll try to connect. He will stay alive for a few seconds longer and will try to escape. But a high new now from Thimble. He's got the high ground, finding out Crow. A Doomfist removed from the count, but Butternubs with a Coalescence to just devastate the back line. Minefield placed by Squib, catching so much onto the tank of Link Skywalker. It's not looking hot for Center College, as they're going to have to get forced back and off of the payload.
Link able to connect that pin onto Shlomo. It lands the shatter as well. Tiger could go down here if he does. It's huge. They've got to keep that beat drop alive. He's almost charged it up. 3 quick kills, make it 4 for North Alabama. And they're able to finish Gibraltar with 1:27 left on the clock.
So much back and forth action, just sort of 3 minutes shorter in time than we saw Center College was able to do it. But now you've seen them. You've played against them for a pretty long period of time. UNA, if history tells you what's going to happen, they're going to get swept. But they've learned, they've digressed, they have the opportunity to go forward into this one and try to improve from where they weren't able to do so earlier. I think they have a good chance to do this, but Center College has the same amount of history. They've learned from UNA. I think Center College is going to take this.
I think they are too. Although the bigger time bank is not the victor in the last map on Eichenwald, the difference between these time banks is completely outrageous. 1:27 versus 4:21. Center College really showed with their attack that they're not just looking to win this game and upset North Alabama. They're looking to run away for it and leave them scratching their heads, and that could be the outcome here. 1:27. We saw them struggle on this first attack. They might not even manage to capture the first point in Phronosis. This one could be quick.
Could be pretty devastating. The one thing we've learned from UNA is they did a phenomenal job of forcing Link Skywalker off of the actual top high ground. So one thing that I gave them a huge props for in their attack was the ability to remove that high ground presence. They stalled for a little bit underneath the arch, but in the end, they did manage to push it all the way through. Just, they're not going to have much time to be able to do that, and their defensive presence was not that hot when it came to them holding that high ground as well.
Now Squib goes up for that quick engage, trying to knock him down and just displace this front line. Rolls through again, but catches some stuns. Barely makes it out. No, not able to make it on the other side of that tunnel. He's taken down by James with the damage boost. And now the defense for Center College, they're set up very well. High ground and low ground, they've got the angles. In the tunnel is North Alabama, and they're taking tons of damage.
Not looking hot. It's going to be a difficult situation for UNA. Thimble will find on a Crow, and you've got Ironcrad in the back line diving the opposition. He hasn't managed to find a kill yet, but Galvani will slow it down a little bit more. Holding onto the payload to buy time. Doesn't make it all the way up. Could be in a dangerous situation. They are antied and will be dove. Falling on a mech. Squib drops in and finds a couple up with the knockup. But a shatter attempted from the opposition. Shlomo will actually find it in Ironcrad. Oh my goodness.
Man, he is hitting bullseyes with those shurikens. Headshot after headshot. That is impressive from a Genji player. Usually it's the dash resets or the Dragon Blade, but with him, he's just letting those shurikens rip, and he's not missing.
We had seen Shlomo went for the shatter. I think it was actually stunned out by James and not actually able to be completed. Didn't need it, not at all. Ironcrad's there to clean up. Quite devastating to face off against. I can't stand Genji, so I mean, I would not want to face off against Ironcrad, that's for sure.
No, he is a menace, and he is coming up on that Dragon Blade. But first, it's Squib letting loose these Wrecking Ball mines that are going to find Butternub. This is similar to what we saw in Eichenwald from Center College. The payload is not stopping anytime soon on this overtime attack. Despite overtime being underway, it still favors the attackers. They get longer spawns. every member that is killed, it is a longer time before they're let out of spawn. That's how overtime works. So once you get these first couple of kills in the fight, it can snowball from there, and that is what we're seeing from North Alabama.
I think what I'm attributing this to is, remember the Matrix film where he goes, he's beginning to believe. I think that UNA is beginning to believe. They struggled the last time overtime even came in on that second map of Eichenwald, and now they're saying, hey, we know why this happened. We know what to do, and now they're starting to believe in themselves, and it's exactly what's happening. Squib will fall, which is unfortunate. Thimble will
believe in himself so hard.
Oh, I believe in himself finding one. Oh my goodness, Ironcrad finally trying to save it, finding three, but Crow not to be outdone, finding his third. It was a DPS difference, and your front line could not last long enough.
Man, it would have been nice to have Squib for that fight. I think that would have been the difference maker. That Wrecking Ball's alive. You can go in with the Genji, and you can maybe win that trade war, because Ironcrad was able to do so much for that team in that last fight with the help of that nano boost, but still not enough. Although, despite losing that last fight, not finishing the map, when you only have a minute and 20 seconds in overtime, you'll take 2.5 points. No problem. You're facing down 420 in the barrel. That is not easy to go against, and they've given themselves a decent win condition.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that we noticed there was the fact that the Center College side, who were getting that snowballed like we had talked about, were feeling their own punishment they dished out against UNA and Eichenwald, and UNA were feeling a little bit hot about that, but we're seeing a resurgence at the end there of that overextension. They got a little bit too greedy for it, and Squib overextends too far, faces the wrath of the opposition, dies, and they did not have that engaging tank line, that supporting tank, to help them in that fight. UNA falling into the ways of map 1, which they did win, but it's not looking hot for this one. They made it quite far, pulling a Central College over on the side of Eichenwald. I don't know if we can actually see them shut it down, however, because Crow and James are phenomenal on this payload.
It's gonna be tough. Ironcrad not on the Genji to contest those double snipers. He's going to be on the McCree, so giving up some range, opting for a stun, making it so the front line can't get closed in on as easily. And they're gonna take this fight up front. They're gonna try and hold the spawn. They know the time bank they're up against, and they're trying to deny as much of the map as they can, but James makes quick work of Bananarama. He peeks wide and he gets headshot, no problem at all. Now Crow lines up an arrow into the head of Shlomo, and the card is rolling. It's in 4th gear.
You have nothing on the UNA side that can deal with the shield that is Link Skywalker, but for the side of Center College, they've got Crow, and it's really all you need. Hanzo has done such a phenomenal job of devastating the shields for Reinhardt. Shlomo just loses it so quickly and ultimately falls to Crow as well. Nothing they can do. They need to find an answer to Crow.
They do need to find an answer to Crow. I think that's what Squib is trying to do, but he's just... the windows are so small for him to work with. He does manage to get some cooldowns out, and that allows Thimble to go in with the help of Ironcrad, and they're able to burst down a couple of kills, but it's not like the University of North Alabama, where they were getting to this corner and overtime was ticking down. There's still 3 minutes left on the clock for Center's attack. Just incredible going into overtime in the last map of the series.
Wallhack will come out from James, trying to maybe get a cheeky pick early on. If I'm the side of UNA, I'd be sitting still and pretty, just trying to stay out of any possible line of sight that could come through. Squib doing a great job of diving onto James, though. Thimble finding 2 and finishing off James. And a great fight going in favor of UNA, as Tiger will find a kill. Switching to Brigitte now, so an interesting decision, but it's seemingly working for them. And it's going to be a fight won now by UNA, and James is going to opt off of the Widow, switching over to McCree.
I do like that going up against Thimble. They probably realize that he's got the Death Blossom online, and it's nice to have a stun to counter that. You can't just rely on Galvanijo to eat up all that ultimate with Defense Matrix. You've got to put James on a hero with a stun, and I do like the look. But still, he was doing very well on Widowmaker. They're not going to have that compositional play, and it's going to be up to Crow to do the long-range damage, and the front line is looking a lot stronger now.
Thimble waiting it out, playing the high ground, fighting now Crow in a 1v1. He's got the Death Blossom and is choosing to just vape away, not wanting to stay into that situation, and a good decision in that part. He's still alive with ultimate. We do have the rally that came out from Tiger, trying to give them a situational advantage, but right now, your shield for Shlomo is not looking hot, and there's a shatter ready for both. He finds first, connecting, and they need to act on to this. A Biva Bomb coming up from Galvani will not go, as it goes a little too high, but Ironcrad not high enough, finding 2 and 3 as he finishes off the tank and 1 backline for the Center College side.
And this is just an opposite storyline as we saw in Eichenwald. I think the team with the better time bank just panics a little bit going into overtime. They know that the pressure is on now. They didn't think they had to play with any pressure after that first attack, but now there's only a minute 22 seconds, and UNA is set up exactly how they like to be. Squib controlling these high grounds, Thimble going up to the high grounds late, holding on to his ultimate. They know the win condition is coming up in a minute and 10 seconds. Nothing else matters before then. As long as the payload isn't close to the finish line, which it's not, they can sit on these ultimates till the bitter end.
They're still trying to take the high ground. Center College will opt to now drop down. They need to start getting it pushed forward. A minute on the clock. Not looking good. Great time being bought. A shatter being stopped. It will connect on to Tiger, but not mattering. Ironclad triple kill with the high noon, finding everyone, and he'll complete the rampage. Link Skywalker falling as well, and it's just the players of James and Galvani who are left. Galvani's not long for the world. Will fall to Squib on the rush through, and UNA still holding strong. They have one ultimate left. That's that, of course, Death Blossom, but James could stun it out and remove it. They need to remove James first in this next engagement.
They've just been sitting on this Death Blossom all round long. They've made it their win condition for the final fight. What I'm predicting is Squib goes in with the Slam, and that is going to be immediately comboed with the Mines and the Blossom to shut down Center on their final push.
Minefield placed a little bit up on the high ground, as well as being placed in midair and onto the payload down below. Just a little bit of way to deny some stuff. And Coalescence dropping out right now from Butter Nubs, and James is needing to look for the opportunity for a high noon. Not sure where they are, but a Death Blossom comes out. It doesn't find any, but it is enough of a devastation as the Shatter will clean up the distraction, and it's looking hot for UNA. Center College needing to stay on the payload as time is stuck to the overtime, but Ironclad and Shlomo are not to be outdone. Shlomo falling now to Galvani, but the rush coming through as Galvani's forced out of mech. And they have to step onto it just out of mech, trying to fight it off, and it looks like UNA is going to take it. Doofus can't drop in time, cleaned up, and UNA win it all in the last few seconds.
They fight off 4.5 minutes of attack from Center College, who took the tempo of this match out from under them going into watch point. Ironclad with the play of the game. This is the window amplified high noon 4. It's a 4K. He gets a Diva Mech 2 before finishing off Link. Just disgusting. Instantly takes down 4 and then lands that 2-tap onto Link, taking down 5. Insane play on the final stand of the defense.
52 eliminations. 52 eliminations for Ironclad. Maybe not liking what we said about Bananarama, maybe taking Map 2's MVP, turning that around and saying, all right, listen, guys, I'm coming back into this one. You're not stopping me from getting it again. And quite frankly, that's a pretty good contender again for that MVP, but not to be outdone. Shlomo with phenomenal objective time. Insane. And they needed it. They needed it to push it all the way in when they had 3 minutes less of overtime than the opposing team did. But they didn't even need the next point. They didn't even make it to the first point. Center College struggling on that first objective.
Yeah, struggling about as much as you can. I think they had the confidence they were playing with in the first round for the first couple of fights, but once they realized that UNA was setting up on those high grounds, making it so tough for Center to just get in and finish off that final quarter of the first point, they started panicking. I mean, they weren't having very clean entries to the points. They were throwing ultimates like Diva Bombs up on high grounds where there were no members of UNA, and I think they just got into their own heads, and UNA just played with some force. Their DPS, they knew exactly their job. Thimble sat on his ultimate all round long, knew that it was the win condition. Ironclad comboing with the Baptiste up on the high ground. That was a team that worked together the entire last map, all of Watchpoint. That team worked together in full force, and Center College, they came out trying to solo carry that game.
Absolutely devastating. We're not going to have an interview because of the unfortunate timing. This match going all the way, double overtime for both the middle and second map, and a great game to behold, but taking too long, so unfortunately no interview to come through. The next game will be coming in extremely shortly, as it was supposed to start 4 minutes ago, but my name has been Infernosis, joined here by my good friend here, Yelkrub. Always a pleasure to work with you. I love casting with you, but I hope you have a very nice night. I will see you guys in the next one, and we'll catch you guys in just a few short moments.
Later, chat.